Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today with an underwater Christmas scene card featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. I absolutely love the Christmas Fishes stamp set released this year, 2019, for the holiday release, and I thought it would be fun to create this kind of aquarium looking design with some kind of bright and more modern looking color combinations for a Christmas card. It's a really fun play on words with the sentiment and just is a really cute way to create a playful Christmas scene card. We're going to start with a background piece of smooth white cardstock inked with Minty Fresh and Peacock Lawn Fawn dye inks. I purposely really worked hard to pick colors, choose colors that were going to be fresh and modern. And Minty Fresh was the base of that, and then the Peacock is going to kind of help darken and deepen that up. Now this is the background. We've got two panels. We've got the background panel, and then we're going to build what I'm calling an aquarium with this foursome backdrop portrait die. So this is also part of the latest holiday release from Lawn Fawn. There is this awesome foursome backdrop in either portrait or landscape. I'm going to use the portrait for my card today. I'm going to go ahead and remove the extra die pieces. We're not going to use those. We'll die cut this backdrop from some smooth white cardstock, and then a way to frame this up and make it appear to have multiple layers when it's actually not going to. Because I'm already going to attach this with foam adhesive to a background panel and then attach it to my card, I definitely don't want to have extra layers. So I am going to instead take some Post-it tape, which I didn't start to do that. I actually had to die cut that again, but I'm going to take some Post-it tape and I'm going to mask off the area from the stitch line out. And that's going to keep that border white. This is one of my favorite go-to techniques for adding that extra look of a matted frame or a matted panel without having an extra layer. So again, same thing that we did before. I'm wanting the ombre effect, so where it goes from light to dark. So we're going to kind of go all over with Minty Fresh, and then we will apply Peacock down more near the bottom, kind of working our way up to deepen and darken that just a little bit. You can color this any colors you want. Probably my go-to colors on a normal underwater scene card would definitely lean towards darker blues, or kind of more royal blue colors, I guess I should say. But these colors, this kind of minty aqua-ish color combination is a favorite for holiday cards. So I'm really loving how this turned out. Let's go ahead and remove our Post-it tape, and now we've got our frame and our background, and we are ready to stamp and color all the elements for our card. Now there are lots of Lawn Fawn sets that have underwater type of images. I focused only on the Christmas Fishes stamp set today, and that is because it's a holiday card, and I loved that all of the fish and the jellyfish and the lobster or crab, whatever, have holiday hats on. And the seaweed looks like a Christmas tree, and there's a shell wrapped up with ribbon and all of the things. Just all of the things. The sentiments are holiday themed, very punny. Definitely was inspired to just go with this stamp set. Plus you get a lot in this set. You're going to see that I am stamping a lot of images from this. In fact, I'm repeating some images, and that includes both the large and the small fish, seaweed type images, any of those little things, those rocks, those are going to be repeated. I'm going to need multiples of those, and I used a lot. Something I did different than what I normally do, I wanted to try out something new today, and I'm hoping that maybe it inspires you because I like how it turned out. We're going bright and modern. And because I'm going bright and modern, I didn't want a harsh black line to color. I am using Copic markers to color, and the new Crunchy Leaf ink from Lawn Fawn is Copic marker friendly. River Rock and Crunchy Leaf are both Copic friendly. So if you are looking for options to color with your Copic markers and it's not a dark black line, I highly recommend these two ink colors. They're not going to bleed, and you are going to, in this case, get a much, much lighter line. It's not going to fade. This is not like a fade out ink or anything like that. It's just going to be this light brown outline. And it blends so nicely into the aqua teal kind of look and feel of our aquarium background. And that is what I was going for. I also left the coloring of this fish because I went too heavy with the yellow 00 and it bled into the brim of the hat, and it just completely ruined the look. Instead of scrapping that fish altogether, we're actually going to use this fish later on and trim off that excess. We're just going to have like the tail showing. This card is more like a snippet of the scene. Imagine that the aquarium is much larger and there's more fish and jellyfish and all the things swimming about. I like to have some fish coming in from the edges to make it appear a little more grounded. And so I'm still able to use part of this image, even though I did kind of mess it up a little bit. The star at the top of the tree also colored with yellow 00, 15, and 19. The seaweed, that's YG 21, 25, and 17. My other green color combination is mint. Definitely inspired by our background colors. I think it coordinates nicely with the rest of the color combinations we're using. That's going to be G00 and G02. Pink, we're going with RV00 and RV02 for the most part. When we get to our jellyfish, we'll pull in some darker RV red-violet colors. Our hats, I went with a little bit lighter color combination for these, even though they're still red. That's going to be R22, 24, and 27. The brims of the hat and the pom-poms, cool gray 00, cool gray 4. For sure, very, very bright red. I like this red color combination with pink and aqua. Definitely what I was going for with that. And you can see the brim of the hat, how the yellow just really messed up the color. I think it's important to leave those things in, and I know I do it a lot. I like to share those mishaps and how you can perhaps fix it if you can. You can't really fix this. I did try. I used my colorless blender and it didn't work. But if you can't, maybe you can use a partial part of the image, which is what I'm going to do here, so it's not a complete loss. So here we'll get to our jellyfish. This is where I'm going to pull in RV 66 and 55 to deepen and darken my jellyfish a little bit. I love that in the Christmas Fishes stamp set, there are faces. So the lobster and the jellyfish both do not have faces. And there are 8 large face options, 1 small face. So if you wanted to add a face to maybe the star at the top of the tree, you could do that. And then there's the cheeks option too. I did not use that here, but if you wanted to stamp a cheek color, you could do that. But 8 different options. And probably one of my favorite things is that a couple of the faces look like the characters are singing. So I really love that, and I'm going to use that for my lobster at the bottom of the card. The rocks, E40, 43, and 44, I purposely picked kind of a softer rock color combination to just kind of neutralize and ground those, and it goes nicely with the rest of my colors. I'm using a white pen to add detail to the images, so highlights, lots and lots of highlights for this card. Adding those little white dashes and dots all over. Adding white dots to my fish, to the cheeks of the fish, a few on the jellyfish even. Just going to add those all over. Now you might notice in the finished card, I have quite a few more images than what are shown here. If you see multiples, that's going to go for seaweed, rocks, any of those things, the fish. They are colored exactly the same as what I did on camera. I will be sharing coloring in my last critter here in just a minute. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do at the bottom of my aquarium until I got a little closer to the end. And so I purposely had held off stamping him and any accessory images until I got to the point where I started putting things together, and then I really was able to have a fantastic idea of what else was needed for my card. I love that these are little packages all tied up with pretty ribbon. They look awesome. I'm going to go ahead and line up the coordinating Christmas fishes dies with these images and die cut those off camera to save a little bit of time. And then we're going to be ready to really kind of start putting it together. And this was for me a slow process. I did forget to put a face on my jellyfish, so I'm going to do that real quick. I just picked one of the faces. But I laid things out. And once I have an idea of kind of where it's all going to go, then I can start putting it together. Another thing, don't forget the faces. Since we used crunchy leaf to stamp the outlines, I really prefer a bold face for any critters. And that generally means a black type of ink. So we're using a gel pen for the eyes and then a fine tip marker for the mouths. And that makes those come to life. So I'm going to kind of fiddle around with my frame now and the images. And I want to make sure that because this is a frame, that the tree, the seaweed Christmas tree, is still pretty visible. I don't want it to be right behind that center piece and lose all the cute detail of it. So I'm really being careful with my position there. And then we're going to line everything up with the bottom little edge of the aquarium. So that's going to be rocks and packages, any other little seaweed type images. We're going to have our fish. And this is another way to kind of determine how many additional images you might need for your design. So let's say definitely the upper right corner is a little, thin as far as images go, as is the bottom right, really. That whole side is not have near as much going on. I am going to adhere the one fish that the coloring is messed up on. We'll just be trimming off part of that, so that is going to help fill in a little bit of that area. But I definitely need to add a few more things to really fill in the space. I don't want to attach the frame quite yet because I do have those things to stamp, and I want to stamp bubbles from the stamp set throughout my design. I'm going to stamp these in the Peacock ink color. I want them to stand out, but not stand out in a way like I don't want to use crunchy leaf. That doesn't really say bubbles to me. So I used Peacock. I think Minty Fresh would also have worked. It would have just been really, really light. Then I'm going to color in with my red colors here. And because my lobster's red, I want to make his hat green and pink instead of red. I probably could have done red and white, but I wanted that additional bit of color since that's kind of consistent throughout the entire design. And I went ahead and colored that in. And then we've got the little individual seaweed piece and extra fish. And we're going to just color all of these in and then die cut these with the coordinating dies. Something I forgot to mention earlier when coloring in the fish is once I had my 3 yellow colors blended, I went back with my darkest marker and just kind of added in some little dot detail to give the fish some texture. Now that we have all of the rest of our images, We'll stamp another fish, color him in. We're ready to kind of assemble everything and finish up our card. We're going to figure out placement for our remaining fish, glue those in place with the Lawn Fawn Glue Tube liquid ink, or liquid glue, pardon me. And again, I don't want the aquarium, what I'm calling the aquarium, but the frame to cover up faces. So for me, it was really important to kind of make sure that they're positioned so that none of the center parts of the frame cover up the face. We want to make sure we add detail for eyes and mouths. And I'm still not quite ready to add the frame in place because I want additional bubbles. Now that I have all of my fish, let's add those remaining bubbles to the design. I really liked the trio of bubbles. The trio of bubbles are always my favorite from any of the underwater or ocean critter type of stamp sets from Lawn Fawn. But there's also individual bubbles as well, so there's a couple of different options for you. Plus there's coordinating dies. So if you would rather stamp, color, and die cut these, you can do that as well. Isn't that a cute little scene? I just love the colors here. They're just really bright and fun. And then I went to add my seaweed and dropped it with the liquid glue on it, of course, even though I was using tweezers. I don't even know how I did that. And I felt like I just needed to fill in with a little bit more along the bottom edge. And then we've got our cute, cute little guy we're going to put down at the bottom. Now, something I planned on when I decided to use him is I knew I wanted to use a Lawn Fawn Simple Wavy banner. And we are going to be stamping one of the sentiments from the Christmas Fishes stamp set on one of the Simple Wavy banners. I die cut it from white cardstock. And then the Here Comes Santa Claus fits perfectly on here, stamped with the Peacock ink. And I want it to kind of look like he's holding that banner up above his head. Now, it's cute as is, but filling that in with another rock and some more seaweed images is going to balance it all out perfectly. Popping up the frame is another little way to add dimension. You could adhere it directly over the background for sure, but I just took these foam strips, they're little thin foam strips. We're going to completely cover the back of our frame, and this will give a tiny bit of depth and dimension to our card. Because it's only one layer of foam, it's not going to pop it up so much that it'll be hard to mail. Another idea, and something that I think would be super, super cute, back the frame with acetate, then add foam adhesive and add some glitter or thin seed beads, something like that, and you could make underwater kind of snowy type snow globe type card with a shaker, and I think that could be super cute as well. I did put some Nuvo crystal drops in White Blizzard in the bubbles so that they are glittery. And I wish I had thought of this earlier, but I didn't, because with my Here Comes Santa Claus, I wanted music notes. That's also going to help fill in some little areas in my card. So I'm just going to take and add the music notes from the Christmas stamp set all over using the Peacock ink. That's going to fill in some of the white space and definitely help balance out our design. And then finally, I will go ahead and adhere the rest of those elements along the bottom edge. And I'm going to take Nuvo crystal drops in White Blizzard and add additional bubbles all over. And you can see how that banner is slightly tucked behind and in front of the lobster, so it looks like he's holding it up above his head. I didn't put adhesive underneath the ends of the banner so that they kind of pop up and it has that movement a little bit. I centered it so that it kind of balances everything out. Look how cute all these little critters are. Aren't they so fun? Let's add those Nuvo crystal drops in White Blizzard to finish off our card, and then place this panel on a white top fold card base, and this Christmas underwater ocean scene card is all finished. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this underwater Christmas scene featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel to never miss a card making or paper crafting video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.